eastrologer.tv. I'm Ernesto, I'm your host, and we'll be with you here for the next hour. I have Loretta here on the line with us, and we're going to be giving you guys some great free live readings. Now, before we get to that, because we have somebody in queue, and I do want to take you, caller here from area code 203. We'll get to you in just a moment, but I just want to let all of our subscribers know and everybody out there who's listening. Number one, if you're watching us over on YouTube or on Facebook Live or whatever other platform, be sure to give us a call on the show directly. The number is 563-999-3070. Give us a call here at 563-999-3070. And second thing is that we have started to enter the publishing space. So now we actually have we will have articles available on my website, eastrologer.tv. Yesterday on the 1st, seeing that it was the beginning of the month, I did give you like a general overview forecast about what's coming down the turnpike for the month of November. Now, it's really generic because Uranian astrologers don't really do that in the way that Western astrologers do, because it's too generic, it's too vague, like it's too mundane. We don't really get into that. And, astrology is a language, so we really like the specificity of like a personal consult. That's what that was really designed for. So we don't really talk about like horrible scopes in the traditional sense of like, if you're this sign, then this is going to happen this month. And we don't do a forecast of the first half of the month versus the second. And that's also really crazy because we eliminate all of the really fast moving stuff. And when you do that, what ends up happening is that throughout the course of a month, not a whole lot really changes as far as those outer planets, because those are the generational things. Those are the major themes or the trends that everybody's going to be experiencing out there. So that's something that I did write about on my website, and a few things. The big takeaway is that next month is probably going to be an interesting month as far as the economy is concerned, because once that Mars moves direct and crosses the world axis at 0 degrees of Aries, then that's going to be an interesting time, seeing that we've got Pluto and Admetos, which is, big, far-reaching change, but can also mean suppression when you combine it with the right things. Seeing that Jupiter is also in retrograde right now, that's also going to have some effect on our money. So when Mars goes back direct with that Jupiter, both on the world axis, that's going to create some big shakeups for money for people. I'm of the belief that if you don't have anything to lose, then the only place you can go is up. It's really hard for things to get worse when you don't have a whole lot to lose to begin with. So that was one of the major things, but that's going to be next month, and we'll talk about that a little bit more down the timeline. But the other takeaway is that there's a lot of propaganda, and yeah, next week is supposed to be like midterm elections. That's all everybody talks about. I'm not going to politicize or get into any of the politics behind the election system and how that all works. But one thing that is happening with us, at least here in the States, is that propaganda is going to be a really big issue, and throughout the world, specifically warlike propaganda. I don't have to get into the Ukraine situation and what's happening over there, but we're going to have more of that thrown at us. So if you can pull yourself away from the TV and unplug yourself from all of these news sources and all this garbage, then please do so. If nothing else, for your mental health and your sanity, because it's going to be hell this month. They're just going to keep throwing it at you, and I can speak from experience when I say that I kept, poking my nose into the flaming dumpster fire, and I kept thinking to myself, I need to know this information to see what's happening down the turnpike. But when you look at the way social media presents it, it's just a giant hate machine. It makes you really mad. I don't really understand myself. I don't know who I turn into. I feel all of this hate like festering in my heart. It's very weird, and I don't like it. So I said, okay, no more. I can't do this right now. We would all be smart to be of the same mindset, to just unplug ourselves and get the heck away from all of that trash, because it's not kind to us right now.
Yeah, I agree. And it's hard. You can't control it. You can't figure out what it's about. It's very elusive in its ability to destroy you without telling you why. So, and really, it takes a strong will to distract yourself when this type of feeling comes over you and not let it take control.
And the worst part is that the news media is designed to be in such a way that it's almost like porn, right? You know, like you just can't get away from it. And then you're addicted to it, and then you don't listen to it for a while, and then you say, "Oh, I wonder what's happening in the world today." And then all of the lies and the gaslighting and everything else comes up. So it's really just awful how they've structured the new systems to be with us, but that's unfortunately the way it is. So pull yourself away from it. It's really hard. It's probably one of the biggest addictions that's out there for a lot of people is knowing what's happening in the world, but it's unhealthy for you. Just get away. You'll be glad that you did. Focus on the things that make you happy. All of that other stuff that's just based off of speculation and fear mongering, that doesn't really get us very far in today's world.
Yeah.
So we are going to take a call here from area code 203. Hi, you're on the Uranus Happen Show. May I have your name and date of birth?
Hi, it's Pat, 7/12/1953.
Okay, and Pat,
What
I've read you
time?
before, right?
Yes, you have.
Okay, perfect. And you were born at 11:51 a.m.?
Yes, that's right.
Got it. Okay, and Pat, would you like a general reading today, or do you have a question about an issue?
I do have a specific question, but I'm not sure, given what you just spoke about, if it's forecasting or not. And I also really appreciate what you just said about the news. I'm going to remember that, listen to it again, and pass that on to my son, who really gets caught up in it.
Yeah, it's poison.
So,
Stay away from all of that. People change. It's unfortunate, like our character just changes once we hear all of this, and it's like you just got beat up even, and you didn't ask for it, and then all of a sudden, like you're down there in the ditch, and then they're throwing more salt on your open wounds by all of this other stuff that makes you worry about the future and oh my God, the planet's gonna blow up. And for me, in my opinion, the only thing
yeah,
I truly care about is if a comet is going to wipe out the planet. That's the only thing that truly matters. Everything else, that's just a request. But even if a comet fell on the planet, that would be pretty thrilling because then everything is just going to end anyway.
yeah. Well, you're really eloquent, and your words. Of course, I hear this from people all the time, but your words got to me when you said it hurts your heart, and that you don't know who you are. It's so true, and it's very eloquent, and I hadn't heard it that way before, and it got to me. So thank you. I have a question about an upcoming court case, so I don't know if that's forecasting or not.
Okay, so you just want to know about a legal matter then, right?
Yeah.
Okay, sure. We can definitely look into that. Veretta, what you got?
Okay.
Again? Oh, hi.
Hi. All right. You're looking at a court case. Let me feel it out just for a second, because that usually tells me pretty quick what the end result or how it's going to go on. Okay, so it's going to take a while. And I think that whatever the opposing side would state, it's going to be a hard case to prove or follow or solve. Knowing what's right and what's wrong in the judgment. So, outcome. I think you'll be okay.
Thank you.
I feel like and the only reason I say that, Pat, is I don't feel devastation. I don't feel anything that would say you lost. Okay?
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're very welcome. Now,
Go ahead.
I feel like there's another party involved with this, not just you. So just know that a lot of the learning is for the other party. However, there's some learning on you and some things that you are finding out, or you are knowing, or you're discovering at this point. You need to carry from now on or then on. You need to log that and not play ostrich and hide away from what it states. It's
I just
real.
missed those.
It needs
I'm
to be
sorry.
addressed.
I just missed those last couple of sentences. I need to carry, did you say?
Whatever you learn, you need to whatever the end result of seeing or discovering is, you need to carry this. You need to understand this is something that A, it's not your fault, and B, you need to learn from it. It's real. It needs to be addressed. You can't hide from it. Don't deny it. Okay.
I see. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
That's
Now,
good advice.
yeah. Well, and so that's your part of it. The biggest takeaway from this for you is to be that, for your understanding, to be aware of something that is different than what you thought it was or wanted it to be. So just be aware that you need to remember that in the future.
So that I'm not sure about. Can you be a little more specific? I have maybe two ideas.
Instead of feeling like, okay, so instead of looking at something and thinking, oh, it'll be okay, it'll straighten itself out. I don't need to participate in this whatsoever. No, you will need to participate from now on. Because you will see this is something that you can't ignore.
Okay.
That makes sense?
Okay. Well, I think so. It may be meaning being more present and dealing with people in this service area. It's about my car.
Okay.
And,
so whatever it is, just be aware. You can't ignore it. You can't play like it'll be all right. I can just, it won't matter. No, yeah, it will matter. It does matter.
Okay.
So I will let Ernesto give you more if he can.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Let Ernesto give you his ta-da and see what he can bring.
Appreciate it so much. Thank you.
All right. Hi, Pat. So I'm taking a look at your chart. I'm asking a few questions right now. Does the lawsuit concern a family member?
No, it doesn't. Do you want specifics?
No, that's all I need to know. So we'll get into that in just a minute. I just feel like that, that this matter, that it's not over. Like I wish to say it was, that because it's just any type of legal issue is a headache and you just want it to go away. But like this thing, I feel like that it's gonna drag on for a little bit. The stuff doesn't, the planets don't quite line up the way that I would like to see this. So I would expect that you're gonna get some more. Like there's gonna be either another court date or some other information that's going to come up that's going to postpone what you have.
Okay.
It's not this Wednesday that you're talking about. That's not the actual end of it. So it's the you'll be vindicated next year, probably by about the spring. I want to say that's when it'll be fully over. So the best advice that I could give you at this point would be to just don't let it eat away at you. Very similar to the discussion at the beginning of the show. Just like focus on the things that bring you joy, because this is annoying. This is a lot of heartache. It probably brings out a side of you that you don't like, and the main reason you're going through this is very simply because, like there is some healing that you have to do at a soul level that tells you, like, hey, it's not okay that I do this. Like I may be hurt, but that doesn't mean that I have to be a dragon about it. Like that's a lesson that I struggle with quite often. That, I don't have to lash out at people because I'm not feeling good at myself, or because, I have to enter this other behavior pattern that I'm not used to because I'm vulnerable and, in this tricky situation. So I feel like that's the main takeaway here. So my best advice to you is, focus on the things that really bring you joy, doing some meditation, like having a conversation with a friend, just like getting out of the headspace of this legal issue, because whenever you're not thinking about it, what we're talking about right now, even, starts to bring up those kinds of feelings of just discomfort inside of you because we're talking about it. But, otherwise, like you and I are having a conversation that's not really, it alleviates a lot of the tension and the pressure that you feel about, this particular issue. So I do feel like that, you are going to have some relief, but that's not going to be until next year. So just, as you go throughout the holidays, just remain lighthearted about it. This is like the last of your
Right.
concerns. This'll tuck this away in your mental filing cabinet. That this will take care of itself at a later date in time, just not right now. So I don't
Okay.
need to beat myself up over it.
Okay. Okay, that's really wonderful. Ernesto, my heart sank when you asked me about a family member legal. When I said no, then I realized I think you're talking about my son in a separate manner.
Okay, yeah. So, I mean, that one, let me take a look here at that particular issue because that was another thing that I was wondering about. Like, there's some family court stuff here that looks like it's pretty prominent and it concerns a man. And
Yeah.
I'm not sure if he's sick or like if he just had surgery, but physically he is not well. And that there is like, and that's the real, so physically he's not well. So that's one issue about, like that family matter. But the other thing too is the fact that this person is, they're mentally they're not really like equipped to be able to handle a family, we'll say. That there's some freakiness, like some perversions, we'll call it, that are just kind of off. And we've had this conversation in the past. Even I remember that was one of the first things that we talked about when you called the show for the
Exactly.
first time. So, but that whole thing with your son, that's gonna be highlighted a lot more. That's probably gonna be the real heartache that you're gonna be dealing with. So I just want to let you know now that it's going to seem super distressing and you don't know what the heck is going to come of it, but keep your nose out of it because you don't have any business with that. This is just something that is affecting somebody that you know and that you love. But the more that you try to get involved, it's going to just eat away at your soul that much faster. So this is one of those issues where you have to say, okay, I can
Boy.
only watch you burn through the glass building right now.
I can only watch you burn to what?
The glass building. So like there's a glass building that's on fire and you see your loved one in there and they're screaming at you and you
Oh.
want to help them but you can't. So that's just kind of what you got to do. Just keep
Oh.
that distance and that space as hard as that is. Make yourself available, say, "Hey, I'm here to talk if you'd like," and leave that door open, but just leave it there. Don't poke and prod because that's when all of the hostility comes up.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I do. I'm praying all the time and just being open to whenever he wants to text or call. Can you tell me, is he going to be okay? Is he going to survive? Literally, his life.
Let's just say that he needs to whatever medical stuff that he has going on that needs to really be examined and taken care of because it's going to become a
Okay.
huge problem. Like if he's living life on the edge, with his life choices and decisions and behaviors, this is going to be one of those times when he might take things a little bit too far just because he decided to ignore all of the red flags and those warning signs like, hey, maybe I should get this checked out, this is a problem. But when you're
Right.
using we just numb ourselves to the point where we don't care and we ignore it. Like I have a family
Right.
member who had basically just numbed themselves into stage 4 cancer and didn't care and ignored all of the signs along the way. And then when the doctor finally said, you really should have reached out to us about 4 months sooner and we could have prevented a huge disaster.
Yeah.
But they didn't care. So that's just kind of,
Yeah.
I just get the feeling that like this guy is, he's really just sort of had it, like mentally there is just not
He
a
has.
whole, that he would, I don't want to say that he's on the verge of killing himself. Like I don't get that vibe at all, but it's pretty dark, like there's a lot of really crushing things that are going on with him right now.
Yeah. Yeah. In talking, I try to kind of bring in comments in the back door, sort of not talking about him, but if he brings something up, I say, oh, here's the story. Yesterday I had such a huge crisis with my dog, and he was being supportive. We were talking on the phone, and I said, Terry, this is just showing me, I felt like I was going to pass out. I was so affected by this, which took me by surprise because I've been trying to prepare myself with my old dog. I said, Terry, it's just a lesson for me. Let me pass it on to you. Get yourself in order, health, whatever. Because when you get older, everything is a lot tougher. So get yourself in order so you can have a good life and have the best outcome. And that's, indirect. He listens, but I'm not telling him, I think you have a problem, I'm just sort of relaying stories about me or other people in hopes that he'll listen. And I know from what I hear, he's not going to do anything about it, but he does take these things into his head and kind of repeats them.
Yeah, it's gonna, he's probably gonna have to learn the hard way. And that's and that's gonna be coming up. Like this is imminent, like within the next 3 to 6 months, you're gonna get that resolution with him. That whole legal matter with him, like that's the legal matter may be as a result of like his failing health or whatever may go down. So those may be conversations that you're going to have with him after the fact and say, hey, do you need somebody to help out here, because it seems like you're in a little bit over your head right now. And then that's when you can kind of step in and say, well, I can do this for you, and we can even make it legal. I feel like that there's a custody battle, like there's some divorce issues, like his family life is imploding, and it's not in a good way either.
Yeah. Okay.
Veretta, do you have anything you'd like to add to that?
Well, you're pretty much covering everything that I picked up about the other individual I felt was around you. So, and I would echo, I could detail the personality disorder that he's going through, and the medical ailment that he's dealing with, and may succumb to if he doesn't take care of it, like Ernesto says. But most of all, Mom, you've got to know that's not your fault. You didn't do that. That was a chemistry product in his brain that went south, and he doesn't know and chooses not to learn how to express himself properly and keep his anger under control.
Right.
Therefore, you can't do, like Ernesto's telling you, you can't do any more for that.
I know. Oh, yeah.
You can't force help on someone that doesn't want your specific help. And it's you because you're Mom.
And what?
So it's you. It's your help. He can't deal with you as an individual helping him because you're Mom.
Yes.
So it's, again, not your fault and not your responsibility.
Yeah.
At this point. That's what I would say.
Did you say you see the physical issue manifesting?
I do.
You want to tell me?
Full blown. So he's either got hepatitis and possibly a venereal disease that took him a little worse off than other people. The hepatitis or liver function also could possibly be disrupted by his kidneys. So he's got a lot of stuff going on. He needs to take care of himself. And he won't, because then he has to admit why he's that way. And he won't do that either.
Right. He's got some bowel and bladder paralysis from an accident.
Does he?
Is that what?
All right. Well, yep, that would definitely. So most likely he had to endure a lot of injections. And if he wasn't doing well, he was in pain, so he's probably taking narcotics. I can see why his liver went south.
Seems like he's also got I want to say that he's got a lot of pain And that's all there. So there, I don't know if this has escalated into like an opiate addiction, but whatever, the addiction issue is, whatever his poison of choice is, that's caused by a quest to alleviate pain symptoms and signals. Like it seems like
Right.
that's the real reason why he's getting into all of this, and it's sort of like it's reached the point where like he could have cut himself off to not smoke that cigarette 13 years ago, but he chose not to because it was comfortable. So now it's ballooned up into a problem, and he's forced to make a decision because, like he chose to take the low road all this time. So I think what happened is,
Yeah.
like just because of either the accident or because of, some other internal medical conditions that like he had pain issues that didn't really get addressed, or they were, and it spiraled into an addiction that went out of control because like his doctors gave him pills and that kind of thing. But that's really what's going on here is that, like there's a lot of body aches and pains that turned into an addiction. And now I think that he's having to pay the price for it. So that's the real issue. I think if anything else, like getting into, like some addiction counseling or some, talk therapy along those lines, that would be pretty helpful for him and everything that he's going through besides, like these legal issues and the health and all of that. I think that, he really would need somebody along those lines, to help him out to be able to make it through, whatever's going to come next for him.
I recently met a hypnosis. Do you think he would be good in the future for my son to
Beretta?
get to,
If his son's willing to do that,
to get to trauma?
again, he's not. It's not your responsibility
I
to
know.
find what he needs, and B, he's
Yeah.
not going to accept the help from you. And if it's from you or someone he's going to be resistant right off the bat.
Okay.
But he's not going to, if it gets to the point in the future where he admits that he has a problem with something and he still needs help, then he will decide who he needs to find that help from. And then maybe
Right.
you can help.
Okay.
Pat, I don't want to say that he's a bullshit person, but what I will say is
Yes,
that
yeah.
he's one of those people that always puts up red tape and roadblocks immediately. Like
Yeah.
the moment that something sounds good and like it's going to point him into the direction that he needs to go, you could go screw yourself with that information. I don't want anything to do with that. And then they suffer and they tumble and they fall and it gets bad. And then a few years down the line they say, "Hey, what was that thing that you told me about a long time ago? I think I want to try that now." That's called human error. That's the human experience, and I get that. But he's got a lot of that, so that's going to be the real challenge in all of this. Is that he may just have to learn for himself the hard way. There's a phrase that's common in my household that says, "We can do it your way, we can do it my way, or we can do it the hard way."
Yeah.
So I think that if he may have to learn things like in an unpleasant manner, but and that may really be what it takes to get through to him. But you can offer like plant the thought definitely, but just leave it at that because he's just not one of those people that's going to want to bite on the line.
Yeah. Is he playing me or being real when, say, I just sent him a video, I said to him, "I've listened to this twice, I think it's really neat," and he texts me back, "Yeah, it's cool." And that's a backdoor, again, thing about healing trauma. And is he BSing me or does he actually listen to these things? Because we're sharing. He sends them to me as well, so he's searching on some level, but clearly not helping himself. But still, he's searching.
Yes. I think it's real. When you're dealing with an antisocial personality disorder, he wants to be accepted. He wants to get rid of the energy that's around him. He doesn't want to feel wrong all the time. Yeah. And by the way, he treats others.
Right.
But that's still a pretty serious disorder. Yeah. And, if you're not really willing or ready to look at it like that, and you can't tell him, "Oh, you got an antisocial disorder." Yeah, okay, whatever, Mom, go to hell. You have to let him or someone that knows what they're looking at tell him what he needs to do. So, no, he's not BSing you.
Good.
But yes, sometimes he is, because he doesn't want to lose that connection and link, but he really doesn't want to look at whatever it is that you sent him.
Okay.
But because he's reciprocating, says he is not bullshitting.
Good.
If it was just a one-way street and it was you sending him all this stuff and him just responding, "Oh, that's neat," he's not even looking at it.
Okay. I think his father's going to die soon, and he's not worked out any of those issues, and I'm concerned, again, what that's going to trigger.
Yeah, it may trigger a lot, but it also may trigger the beginning of the healing, because he just can't go through any more devastation with this type of energy on top of him already.
Yeah.
And I just want to add that the loss of his father that you're kind of wondering about, that's all bundled in there with his health issues and the legal matters. That's all pretty much the same question in his chart. So, like, I would expect that, like, the course of like 90 days is going to be really, really super intense for him. And, be sure to let him know, that you are not going crazy, that, or this is not bad luck. This is just honestly the way of the universe. And you can tell him like that, and even reference the show if you'd like. But, that's going to be a thing it's the way of the universe.
I'm sorry, you broke up. Universe. Okay.
Yeah.
It's the way of the universe.
Yeah. Let him know that, because, it's going to blow up for him pretty soon. And, and it will for a lot of people, but for him, it's really going to create some big issues with, like, okay, I'm sick, like now I lost this other person that I really love. It's like, oh my God, I need all this healing. And I'm like, and I'm really hurt. And why did I never pay attention to this? And I just keep losing, like, what's wrong with me? Let him know that, that this is just a thing that he has to go through right now. That this too shall pass, and he will prevail. He will get through it.
Okay. Listen, you guys are phenomenal. I told you last time, Ernesto, that I'm actually afraid to call you, because your information, I literally, and I just sent a testimony on your site today, literally gives me months to work on things. It's so involved and real, and in my case, worrisome, that I just from there I go. And what can I do? What can I do? Take care of myself, pray, whatever, think, understand, research. So once again, this is huge and heavy, and I thank you. I thank you.
Well,
bless your heart.
Yeah, we do want to thank you for being here on the show and subscribing. It's really great when we have people like you, Patricia, that come to the show and you take our advice and you listen to it and you do the work. That's what we're all about, doing the work.
It's profound, your advice. I mean, it's 100 times deeper than what one can usually find. And it's so direct. It's scary. It's no BS. But it's so precise and profound, and coming from a place that most people don't get to. Your skill in both of you and what you do is phenomenal. I'm going to let you go. Thank you so much.
Well, it was great to have you.
Keep in touch.
Be sure to give us a call back and let us know how it turns out.
I will. God bless.
We'll catch up with you soon. Until next time. Okay, and we are going to get off to area code 504 here. Hi, you're on the Uranus Happens Show. May I have your name and date of birth?
Are you on with me?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Susan. My date of birth is July 30th, 1971.
And at what time were you born, Susan?
11:57 a.m.
Okay, and where were you born?
Sharpstown, Texas.
Okay, Sharpstown, Texas. And now, Susan, another question is, would you like a general reading today, or do you have a question about an issue?
A general reading. I'm new to Uranian Astrology.
Okay,
so,
sure, yeah. Do you have like a theme or like a particular, like, I guess, direction in mind? Because we work with 8,000 formulas, and it just helps me to narrow it down.
Okay, well, I do have a lawsuit that my family is involved in, that I'm kind of wanting to understand the outcome or the challenges, or anything to do with that.
Definitely. Okay, let's take a look at that. Another lawsuit. Veretta, what you got?
All righty. Okay. So it seems to be the battle is something that has been a long-standing thing over time, and I want to feel like there'll be multiple reactions at the end of the result. Okay, so I got to the end of the result though. There will be some type of fine that will be paid, that will need to be paid by someone. Although it's not 100% accurate as far as the end result and the determination or whatever it is settled. It's not 100% what you would want. It's fine. It'll be done. It's over, and people can get back to life without this hassle over their head. So I would say 75 to 90% of what you want will be resolved, and the other piece or pieces won't.
So if I may clarify, this was a lawsuit that my father was engaged in, and he passed away.
Okay.
And it's my mother and I that have had to pick it up, and we're trying to get some resolution on a boundary and possibly compensation for what our local government and a neighbor had orchestrated against us in an expropriation matter. So those are the specifics of it.
Okay,
if that helps you to.
Well, you're still going to get what I said is going to stand, but that will give me more about why it's been strung out so long. Okay, yeah, I get it. Dad started it. Now that makes sense to me. And the multiple people involved. You said family. I got more than one. I felt Mom by your side, but I thought there was somebody else there too. But it just may be Dad in spirit. But I really feel like the end result will bring you what you need. I think the boundary will be redesigned. I feel like they may pay something to you. It just may not be who pays or what you want it to be. That is the part that you don't like. Like one person may pay and then the government gets off scot-free kind of thing. But the one person's paying, and like I said, then after that, it's over. It's done. You're fine. You're fine. You get on to living your life with the results you basically do want.
Yeah, that's the resolution that we want. My second theme is my boyfriend is running for council, and I'm getting mixed. I'm getting mixed information of whether or not he'll win or he won't win.
All right,
it's
hang on to that thought.
It's a little hidden from me.
Okay, hang on to that thought, Susan. Without saying his name, normally I would need a name, but you're solid with your energy with him, so I don't have to wade through more than one. He may not win. Why?
Reputation.
Yeah. That's exactly right. And it'll be a man that beats him.
Well, he has a man that's an opponent, so.
That's who's going to... Okay, so I want to say, if there's time... Now, maybe Ernesto can give you more on this, because I'm going out on a limb with what this feels like. What it feels like is there's just a little bit of something he could do about it, if there's time. But he has to really work his butt off hard to make that happen. in whatever little bit of moment he has left. Ernesto may, well, no, because you'll have to give him more information about your boyfriend, but he may go ahead and look at the court case. Oh, he's looking at lawsuits and legalities. All right, he's got stuff pulled up, so let's see what he's got on the line. And
I have his. I don't have his birth time. I have everything else but his birth time.
Well, I'll let Ernesto field that, because he brought up the legality question, I believe, and he's putting stuff here on the chart to show.
Well, I think that there's been discussion about the register of voter, the lady who handles the register of voting, and I think that there's going to be some kind of issue with the outcome of that election. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to gain some time there.
I want to say that the election is going to get screwed up in some way. That
that's what I feel.
Yeah, like it feels like that I really get like a strong corruption vibe, like when it comes to that issue in your chart, because I don't really even need to look at his chart, because based on where I'm looking at right now, this comes straight up to a relationship in your life. So that would tell me that based on the information that you're providing, that, we're talking about him in this case. So when I look at that access point, which is that orange dot on our YouTube stream, if you're watching that right now, that's going to be the question more about, the legalities about what's going on with him in that election. And I get a really strong corruption vibe. Like there's something that is just going to get messed up, like they miscount the ballots, or, like a whole bunch of votes get lost kind of thing in the mail. Like something weird, something freaky happens to where it just goes away and it buys them more time. Something gets delayed. And it's, really...
I'll tell you what it is.
What's that?
If they don't get who they want in office, there's going to be a recount. If the powers that be don't get who they want in, then there's going to be some type of election redo.
Are you still living in Texas?
No, I live in Louisiana.
Okay, all right. I don't know what Louisiana politics are like, but that would make sense that if he didn't win, that they would recount. But they're going to try to do something to do him dirty, and I feel like that. It's just going to be a dirty inside job, like to put it bluntly. I feel like that, there could be some things that he could do to mitigate damages, and that would just be keeping a really great track record. But really, they're just trying to, play their games, and make sure that they win at the end of the day and do whatever it takes to make that happen. So that would be the issue with him. And I also agree that I don't think he's going to win. And if he does, it's going to be because he was really super duper honest about everything. But in today's political system, good luck with that one. So that was with that issue. On the other one, for the thing with your father, I'm looking at, just in general things with lawsuits. I feel like that that issue with your dad's stuff, that is that an ongoing legal matter?
Yes. It actually, he passed away, and it was kind of dropped, and then my mother and I we just hired an attorney last month. We're trying to re-raise an issue.
Okay, I think that now may not be the right time for this. I feel like that next year is going to be much better breeding grounds for something like making that lawsuit go away, or that legal issue. With Jupiter being in retrograde right now, that makes it kind of hard. Once that goes direct again, though, which will be towards next month, and then it'll go back into full motion at the beginning of next year, that's really going to be when you're going to start to see some movement as far as that issue is concerned. I do think that what'll probably happen with your dad's stuff is whatever the legal issue is, is going to be dropped, and you will be compensated financially for it. So like you'll just get a big fat paycheck, and they're just going to say, we're really sorry this happened, but we're going to make it all go away now. And you may lose some property as a result of this, but I just feel like that you're going to get a big payday, and that's going to be enough, and you'll be okay with that. So regardless of what the result is, you guys are going to be happy with however that goes down. But now just isn't the right time for that. That's going to be probably sometime early next year.
Okay, can I ask one more question?
What's that?
I have some enemies. Apparently, I didn't realize some friends that were enemies. Do you have any take on how that is going to unfold? I have some hidden enemies that that just surfaced.
Okay, Veretta, what you got?
Alrighty. So with that, I do need first names because you've got a lot of friends. So give me the first name of who you want me to look at.
The first name would be Maggie.
Okay, that's enough. All right, Maggie is siding with someone else that is primarily leading this. Maggie actually, you thought she was a friend. She really was, but she's also kind of weak. And at this point, you've hurt her feelings at some point. And the other individual has made this big grandstand thing about you being who you are and what you're doing and who you're with and what you're capable of. And really what it boils down to is intimidation, which they are, and through no fault of your own. Yet there are some things that you maybe did that rubbed them wrong. Did you on purpose? No, it's just who you are, that don't want to see you or your husband succeed. So just know that part of what's going on right now, people are reacting to who you are as an individual with the reminder of really that you can get things done. And that is awesome in some folks' eyes and trouble in others. And the trouble brings contention and disharmony.
Well, actually what I think is these other two individuals, Cal and Courtney, I believe that they told Maggie something that was not really necessarily true.
Yeah, I
and
believe
it
that.
hurt
That's
her
exactly
feelings.
And she had
and it never happened.
an incident with exactly. She had they may have perceived
right.
it happened through something that you did do, but that wasn't totally it. But she may, and so what I was shown was she may have had her feelings hurt at some point, so she jumped on that bandwagon. Yeah, that happened to me too. It didn't, and so once they saw they got a response to that, what they said, they just poured on the emotion for you that, which then got it to the level that you kind of had your feelings hurt at, or she had her feelings hurt at. So it just played it went hand in hand.
I guess my bigger question is, do I need to be concerned about them doing something criminal?
No. I think what you need to be more concerned about is that this network of people, like these bad people who are harassing you or whatever, that's just going to go away. They're just going to drop off. Like, it's petty. It's high school stuff. It's like a bunch of, BS that really doesn't matter. And I think they'll eventually come to their senses. Just ignore them and don't give it the energy that they're looking for, because that's what they want. And then once they realize that you're not going to fight back, then they're just going to drop it. Because it was honestly like somebody was hurt and upset about something that you did or said in the past. And then that sparked this huge discussion, and then other people ended up joining in, but they said things to try to commiserate with the person who started the discussion, but that wasn't necessarily what they themselves went through.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened, and it happened sometime. It happened sometime in September.
Mhm.
Between end of September, early October, is how I feel that it happened. But I don't know what it is. I don't know what was said or what was, but that's what I pick up.
I really get the sense that it
And
was
you,
just it's either a money issue or it has to do with like your connections to politics. It's one of those two
yeah,
issues, and that caused
that
this disagreement.
exactly. It's the latter.
Oh,
It's the latter with a combination of it's going to be both because the money is going to get better
Mm.
eventually.
Okay. Well, that's very
Oh
interesting.
yeah,
I
right.
appreciate your
You know what the
read.
thing
I'm
is
about
too? You need to also understand this is a preparation for if you get a chunk of money like Ernesto suggesting that you're going to get. You're going to be in a different class than a lot of the people that you associate with right now. So you got to know a lot of people are going to fall off of your timeline because of that money.
Yeah, and
You
just want to
won't be
let you know,
accessible to
Susan,
them
that
anymore.
the reason you had this
well,
experience with
I,
these other people is very, very specifically to get you prepared for the mental space of,
Yep.
okay, so I'm going to be rich. I need to abide by a private lifestyle, and I need to keep my mouth shut about my money matters so I don't have problems because people are crazy, and the economy is only going to get worse. So
Right.
you want to keep the thugs out of your life, and this is a great learning experience and opportunity for you to realize these are the people I do not want in my life.
one of these individuals about 2 days before asked to come over here on my property because he wanted to look into some of these old buildings that we had, and I told him that wasn't permitted, that the property actually belonged to my mother and that we don't allow anybody over here. But he was acting like he was befriending me,
Right.
and
Good
he's made
call on your
several
part.
attempts. He made several
call.
attempts to come over here. But I've also missed the Powerball 3 times by actually like walking in the store, getting distracted, not buying a ticket, or meaning to stop at a store, and I didn't stop, and the Powerball would hit at the store. So I'm hoping that I'll hit this $1.2 billion coming up here.
Well, you got a fat
Well,
paycheck coming down the line for you. It is coming pretty soon. I want to say
right.
it's more legal related, but this is going to
Yeah.
be a time for you, Susan, where you really kind of got to get ready for this new mindset and new lifestyle you're going to be in, because you want to make sure that you want to have that as stress free as possible.
Well, I actually took this as I've been doing a lot of mediumship work, and I actually looked at this severing or this incident as kind of dropping off some of these low vibrational people. It's kind of
And
how
that's
I
how.
took it. I didn't really take
That's
it like
how.
monetarily. It was
Well,
just
but
like
it will be
spiritual.
that monetary. No, it'll be the monetary. And you live in a smaller town, so it's not like you've got a lot of people that you can choose to have friends in. So you need to have.
Will it work out between my boyfriend and I long term?
If you make it through this political junk that's going on right now, then you guys should be okay. But like this could also be the end of things too. So what happens in the next few weeks is really going to be determinant of what happens in your distant future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with that too. And if that's the case, it is what it is. Don't fight. Don't fight about that.
I understand. I understand exactly what you just said.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Because I've got that.
Yeah. And so remember, when you're reading for yourself, you have to remove all emotion and expectation. When you read for yourself, you've got to go into it with open eyes and honestly be able to accept whatever is being shown as real or the truth.
Yeah, so Susan, it
Keep
was
that in mind.
great to have you on the show. I'm so glad that you found us today. Be sure to subscribe, like, and share, and we'll catch up with you real soon. We're going to be back with everybody again here. I think that's going to be on Saturday at 11 o'clock. That'll be our next show.
Yep.
Okay, well, we'll catch up with you soon, Susan. Thanks a lot for calling in, and we'll talk to you later. Okay, so Beretta, in the last 5 minutes or so of our program here, let's talk about that whole issue with propaganda. How do we unplug ourselves from the crap? Aside from just doing it, what are some other things that we can do to fill that void, since it's such a source of addiction for most people?
Well, it is a hard void, and the reality is, if you have to rise above it. You really have to see it as a show, and you're a participant in it. And you remember that if you're a participant in it, then there are other people watching, and you got to know you're responsible for what they see. And if you show yourself to be a total ass based on this politics and the shit that everybody's going through, then that's what they'll see. If you want people to see a very composed individual that is either A, taking a flexible tone and not standing their ground saying it's one way or the other, or B, standing their ground very comfortably on one side or the other of a line, and knowing that ultimately it'll burn bridges because people are just like that, but you don't care because you feel very comfortable in your position. You're right. You don't want the people that will consult with you and argue with you and critique you into submission in your world. You want people that are like-minded. So eventually, one way or the other, it all comes to the same. And that's just the thing, right? So it's going to end one way or the other, or it'll have a result one way or the other, whether we get involved and explode or not. So if we take participants, observers, participants, perspection, then we're going to be seeing ourselves in our actions and what we're doing in that moment, and knowing we're making a choice of wanting to become an ass or show ourselves as a diplomat. Either way, any way you look at it, what we're looking at now, there'll just be a lot more to come. And so we really need to find a focus point and then way to balance, so we're not, so distraught over what's to come. Because worry solves nothing.
One of the things that we say on the show, or at least I do anyway, is worrying about tomorrow's problems takes away all of today's joy.
Yeah, exactly right. You're not looking and noticing what you've got right in front of you because you're all focused on what happened or what didn't happen or what may not happen or whatever.
And even with astrology, we have a system here that I know basically all of the answers of the universe and when stuff is going to go down for people, right? But I don't want to know that. That not
Right.
because it's too scary, because that's the human experience. I don't want to be that jerk that spoils the end of the movie, right? That's really crappy. I don't want to end up in that situation. I want to be surprised. I want to know what's going to happen.
Yeah. And that's what ultimately this life here is about. Living in the moment, having the emotions, letting them come, experiencing them in a clean, healthy manner, letting them go, getting over whatever happened and moving on to the next something, and not being so extreme you're caught up in tomorrow, yesterday, 2 years from now, whatever, and that distracts you and makes you less of a human with potential than you come to this earth for. And I can get caught up in following somebody's emotions, but after a while, for me, it's just routine. And why should I follow their emotions? I have my own. I don't need to look at somebody else's issue or travesty or dialogue and live through it, because I have my own means. And that's what being in the moment, here right now, is all about. When you're in the moment, you have everything you need right in front of you. It's just a matter of finding what you need and moving on to the next.
And if it's uncomfortable to live in the moment, meditation really does work miracles.
Yeah, well, if it's uncomfortable, you need to find out why. If you know why, you need to change it. If you can't, you need to see what you can learn from it.
So I do want to
Eventually
thank
it'll be over.
I want to thank all of our
Yeah.
guests. It seems like we're almost out of time for today. I want to thank all of our guests for joining us here on the show. We will be back with you guys on Saturday at 11 o'clock for a 2-hour program, and it's 11 a.m. And then sometime, I want to say on the 4th, we're going to be having another blog post where Veretta is going to be giving her insights for the month of November. And you remember, you can check out mine over at eastrologer.tv. For all other things Uranian astrology, be sure to check out eastrologer.tv, and you can get a hold of Veretta over at verettavision.com.
And take life easy. There's
Yes.
no point not to.
Take life easy. Life is good. Enjoy it. It really is worth it.
Many blessings.
We'll catch up with you guys soon. Take care, and until next time, good luck and Godspeed.